Hello, and welcome back to the Basement Gun Shop. If you remember back in the first episode, I said to you guys some political bullshit may work its way in. Well, unfortunately, it's time. I was cruising around YouTube tonight, and I stumbled on this video of California State Senator Kevin DeLeon, whatever, talking about some article or some legislation he's going to introduce into the Public Safety Committee to ban 3D printed guns and self-assembled ghost guns in California. Ghost guns is a nickname, evidently, listening to the video, that they've given self-assembled guns in the state of California. And just we're not even going to talk about the grammatical errors this guy makes. My God, he's a state senator. He can't even speak intelligently. I'll post a link to this video in the comments section, so you can go and waste 21 minutes and 23 seconds of your life listening to this person. I'm really trying to take the verbal high road here. I really am. But it's so hard. When you listen to these people who engage in doublespeak, half-truths, innuendo, like it's fact. I started making some notes as to his stupidities, and then I decided to just come down here and let the video run and comment on it as it's running. He starts off by talking about introducing legislation what is it? SB 808 in California, that's going to ban these guns and make the public safer, because 3D printed guns are evil, and they're undetectable, and they're this, that, and the other. Good God. And he spends quite a bit of time blathering on about how they can slip through metal detectors because they have no metal parts. Really? Interesting. So, the insert for the barrel isn't metal, obviously, or the firing pin isn't metal, or the springs that power it. We all know there's springs in every kind of gun to power something, whether it's the firing pin returning, or the striker returning in the case of a Glock, or the hammer spring, the main spring in your standard 1911 that powers the hammer that hits the firing pin that drives it forward, that hits the primer that makes it go down the barrel. Bloody hell. There are so many inaccuracies in this guy's 21 minutes worth of blathering. And then he stops and dramatically says, "The threat is real." Wow, the threat's real. And he keeps referencing how this bill, his bill that he's introducing, will stop gangbangers and, you know, the scumbags that I generally reference as scumbags from getting these guns. First off, these scumbags are going to get their guns the same way they always get their guns, from stealing them. Home invasions, home break-ins, whatever, stealing them from lawful owners. People like me, people like you. So they're not going to go through the problem of manufacturing a ghost gun. But he does go on to say that they're called ghost guns in the state of California because they have no serial number and all that other stuff. Okay? So I can see where Ghost Gun could be a legitimate nickname for a gun like that. For example, take this AR sitting right here on the bench. I finished this build yesterday. This is what he would term a ghost gun. I'm in Pennsylvania, so this is legal. It was built on an 80% receiver. I milled it. I built it. I bought the parts. It's legal. I also spent close to $1,000 on a mill and cutting bits and everything else to mill that 80% receiver. What scumbag gangbanger is going to spend $600 on a mill and then spend however many other dollars for the cutting bits and the measurement tools, specifically speaking digital calipers, and then acquire the skills to mill out the pocket of an AR to 1.25 inches. If you go back and look at my Mistakes Happen video, when I tried to assemble this, the pocket was 3/1000 too shallow, and the safety wouldn't fit in over the back end of the trigger. Really? What kind of scumbag gangbanger is going to acquire those skills and do that in his garage? It amazes me the depths of lies, doublespeak, half-truths, and innuendos these leftists, you can't even call them liberals anymore, because they're not liberals. They're out and out leftists. And I have a whole bunch of other words for them that I'm really trying not to say. And this gets me so fired up. Because unfortunately, this is not the country that I grew up in, and it's not the country that I served, or my cousin Steve served. Who, by the way, was an anti-submarine warfare chief. I, being on a submarine, made for some really interesting exchanges at family reunions. So, getting back to this person. After he explains about, they're called ghost guns in California, he goes on to say that 3D printed guns may have detachable metal parts that could enable them to slip past metal detectors. Okay, so you detach the firing pin, the barrel insert, and the springs that drive the gun, and you go through the metal detector with the plastic parts. How do you get the metal parts through? You may be able to camouflage them as something else in a bag or whatever, just throw them in there and put it through the x-ray machine. But then that is going to depend on the alertness of the TSA screener who's watching the x-ray machine. Hey, that looks like a gun spring, or that looks like a firing pin, or that looks like something that shouldn't be there. But it's just something that shouldn't be there. And how to get the ammunition past the screener. Are you kidding me? If a TSA screener can't pick up on a friggin' bullet in an x-ray machine, they don't need to be working there. Again, the depths of innuendo, half-truths, and outright lies that these people will stoop to is ridiculous. And this guy, this Kevin DeLeon, oh my God. And yes, I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm on the right coast, not the left coast. And no, it doesn't affect me. But what it does affect is an untold number of legal gun owners in California. And I'm of two minds about that, but we're not going to get there. Once California passes some kind of scumbag legislation like this, what's Dianne Feinstein going to do? I mean, come on. Really? This is the woman who sat on an interview on a nightly news program and said, if I could get away with saying, turn them all in, Mrs. and Mrs. America, I'd do it. All right? This is a woman who would outright violate the document that our founding fathers put together to preserve your God-given rights and mine from the government. According to the Constitution, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are endowed with these inalienable rights by their Creator. They didn't even say God, they said by your Creator. So no matter what religion you follow, your Creator has endowed you with certain inalienable rights. Amendments 1 through 10, basically. Wow. I apologize for getting so fired up. But the hypocrisy, the lies, the scumbaggery that these leftists will go to is just unbelievable to me. I can't believe it. And he starts blathering on about how his legislation will require the metal parts to not be detachable. And he's blathering on and on and on about these 3D printed guns. So, let's ask some questions about 3D printers. Now, the most affordable 3D printer on the market is called MakerBot. Okay? And it's made by a company out of New York. Don't get me started on that communist state. They have several different models ranging from the MakerBot Mini to the MakerBot Replicator Z18. The MakerBot Mini will print, 3D print. Wait, if you don't know what 3D printing is, you have a spool of plastic filament, basically a spool of plastic wire. The printer draws this in, melts it, and I think it's freaking amazing. I really do. Melts it, and then places that melted filament in 100 micron layers. If you take a millionth of an inch and then, you know, raise it to 100 millionths of an inch, that's 100 microns, and it makes a layer. I mean, that is just, it's so cool. But I'm a professional computer geek, and technology just friggin' amazes me. And I love it, and I love learning about it. So, you have these MakerBots, and I'm using MakerBot. There are several different ones, but MakerBot is the most affordable for the general public. So I'm picking on them. I'm using them and their price points. So, the MakerBot Mini will print an object 3.9 inches long, 3.9 inches wide, and 4.9 inches high. What the hell kind of gun are you going to make with that? That is the most affordable MakerBot at $1,379. That's just the printer. That doesn't count the laptop to run it, and the MakerBot software, and then get the 3D models to send to the printer in a compatible format, to send to the printer to print. 3.9 inches by 3.9 inches by 4.9 inches. What in the hell are you going to make with that? Okay. Now, let's look at their biggest model. The MakerBot Replicator Z18. It will do 12 inches long, 12 inches wide, and 18 inches high. Now, we're into the dimensions to do a lower receiver and an upper receiver and a forend and a barrel. If you have a metal insert that will stand up to the pressure of sending a round downrange. But we're not even going to deal with the physics of the situation. We're just talking strictly dimensions here. And this is Mexifornia we're talking about. Well, I shouldn't say that, but how many illegal aliens are in California? And they're called illegal aliens for a reason. When my great-great-grandparents came to this country, they did it legally. They respected the laws of this country. My great-great-grandfather, two of my great-great-grandfathers, actually, fought the Civil War and weren't even citizens of this country. And I have my great-great-grandfather Gribbins' discharge papers from the Union Army and his citizenship papers dated 2 years after his discharge from the Union Army to prove it. But they did it legally. And don't get me started on the whole immigration mess. That's another political tirade that I won't get into on this channel. Because then I'll be labeled a racist. So, the MakerBot Replicator Z18 with a 12 by 12 by 18 inch printing deck is $6,499. Again, not including the laptop to run it, not including the knowledge or the technical acumen to make it work, not including obtaining the prints, the digital AutoCAD files or whatever files, and then being able to transfer those files or convert those files into a format the MakerBot understands. And it's also not including the materials, the filament, the steel inserts. Now, I know for a fact that if you search long and hard enough, you can get prints for an AR-15 lower receiver with steel reinforcing inserts. Oh, steel reinforcing inserts, but it will slip through a metal detector. Really? Did he even bother to research the technology he's trying to outlaw? No, he didn't. Knee-jerk reaction politics. And I have a few other names for it, but I'm really trying to keep this on the verbal high road and not descend into the better parts of my naval vocabulary. Trust me, just ask the guys I work with. I can get pretty colorful. And I'm really trying not to. So, and he's talking about homemade guns falling into the wrong hands. That's one of the key reasons why he's introducing this legislation. Scumbags don't care where the gun came from. They don't care if it came across the border from Mexico. They don't care if it was stolen from this legal gun owner. They don't care if a cop was killed trying to serve and protect the public, and they took the guns out of his patrol car and off his person. They don't care. They're scumbags. By definition, they don't care. So, let's move on. And then he says, I'm going to show you how easy it is to manufacture a ghost gun. And he keeps calling it a gust gun. A gust gun. Oh, ghost gun. And then going back and correcting himself. The guy can't even speak intelligently in public. And yes, I know I make mistakes. I do when I'm talking to the camera because my brain's 7 sentences ahead of where my tongue is. But he holds up, and I love this part, a lower receiver blank, not an 80% receiver, a lower receiver blank. A blank. And then he says, all you have to do is procure this jig. And he has a pre-assembled AR-15 jig like I got from Juggernaut Tactical to do my 80% receiver. And take it to someone with a drill press. Are you kidding me? A drill press to broach the magazine well. I've never seen a drill press produce a square corner. It's a drill press. They make round holes and drill the holes necessary. And he says, he literally says, and drill the holes necessary, and you get this. And then he holds up a finished receiver, a finished stripped lower receiver. Like all you have to do is drill 5 holes in a block of frickin' metal, and you get this. I mean, when I say he's holding up a blank, he's holding up a lower receiver blank. No magazine well, no fire control pocket, no holes on the side, no hole drilled for the screw to tighten down the trigger, no hole here for the buffer tube, no nothing. No holes for the pivot and takedown pins at all. This isn't even out. He holds up a lower receiver blank. It's a damn paperweight. This is the engine of a semi-automatic and an automatic weapon. Assault weapon. Oh, and he keeps referring to automatic sniper weapons used by our military in Afghanistan. And then he holds up a heavy-barreled AR-15 with a beautiful, fully adjustable Magpul stock on it, a stainless steel bull barrel, heavy barrel, and this big round free float fore-end, and some optics on it that are, I wouldn't mind having. But like I said, I build target AR, or battle rifles. I don't build target ARs. These things were never meant to be target ARs. It's only the ingenuity of the American shooter who turned this platform into something capable of sub-MOA groups at 600 yards. So, that being said, he holds up a blank, says drill a couple holes in it with the jig. He holds up a blank and just take it to someone with a drill press and you can turn it into this. I want to see somebody with a drill press, nothing but a drill press, take an AR blank and turn it into a finished lower receiver. I don't think it's possible. I mean, you have to have some seriously heavy-duty broaching equipment to cut that magazine well out. Having just milled an 80% receiver, I can tell you there are dozens of videos on the internet. In fact, there's a video from Juggernaut Tactical where they do actually mill this out with their jig with a drill press. But all you're milling is the fire control pocket, the hole for the safety, hammer pin, and trigger pin, and that's it. I'll just take it to someone with a drill press. Ah, it's upside down. Oh, and he calls it shockily simple. I tried to look shockily up in several dictionaries because I actually have paper dictionaries. You know, those are books you have to open. And then I tried to look it up online. Search results, 0. Okay, so maybe got a little tongue-tied. I should cut him some slack on that. It's just the conservative in me making fun of a leftist puppet. And I'm only 4 minutes and 49 seconds into his 21-minute speech. Unbelievable. All this out of 4 minutes and 49 seconds of his speech. His little press conference. By the way, there was one person at it. And then he's got a bunch of sheriffs, California sheriff's deputies, and some guy from the Brady campaign who lost his daughter. You know, I won't even I will comment on the guy from the Brady campaign sitting there, or being at this press conference and saying, oh, this is a wonderful step to this, that, and the other. I have a daughter. And I have 2 beautiful grandsons. And I will not even try to imagine how I would feel if I lost my daughter, or one of my grandsons, or both, or whatever, to gun violence. I wouldn't even try to imagine. That is a loss that no one should suffer. But I think that a lot of these people have had the unfortunate influence of political opportunists who really don't give a flying rat's ass about your grief, and have somehow turned that grief to anger. I can only imagine the frustration of, my daughter was shot and killed, or my grandsons, or whatever, and the killer's still at large, not caught. I can only imagine the frustration and the need to have a target of that anger and frustration. To the people at Sandy Hook, same thing. Aurora, Colorado, same thing. But let's be honest, and nothing I can ever say or anyone else can say will ever assuage that guilt, or that sorrow, that loss. Going as far back as Columbine. But this is an inanimate object. It has no intelligence, no will, or volition of its own. It does not act without a driving force. That driving force is the person who holds it. Evil people are going to do evil things. The same day Sandy Hook happened, somewhere over in, I don't know which country it was. I don't know if it was Malaysia or China or Vietnam or Korea, North or South. Well, South Korea. I don't know where it was, but some deranged individual walked into a school and stabbed 17 or 18 kids to death. Evil people are going to do evil things. Back in the 20s in this country, I believe it was in Illinois or Indiana, a school principal secreted a couple 100 pounds of dynamite into the crawl space underneath his school, and then drove his burning vehicle packed with dynamite into the school and detonated everything. That was the worst school massacre in this country's history, and that goes back to the 20s or 30s, I believe. Don't take my word for it, do the research on your own. So, evil people are going to do evil things. Yeah, he's holding up a finished lower receiver now. This is after he says, from this with a jig and a drill press becomes this. And he holds up a finished lower. The actual engine itself. Now he's holding up a, I don't know if you call it a semi-automatic or an automatic weapon, but it's an AR. This weapon right here can be detected because, of course, it's all metal for the most part, you know, plastic stock and grips. And he's talking about this is a gun that was manufactured by a manufacturer in the United States.
Purchase of this lower receiver online through the internet.
Oh, and he keeps saying, with the purchase, as he holds up the lower receiver blank, with the purchase of this lower receiver online or through the internet, and he's couching his terms to make it sound like purchasing an 80% lower receiver or a lower receiver blank is like illegal or bad or questionable. And this falls into the whole innuendo that I was talking about. Purchasing an 80% lower receiver in Pennsylvania is completely legal. BATF does not consider an 80% lower receiver a gun. This is a Palmetto State Armory stripped lower receiver. It came from the manufacturer. Oh, and he keeps saying manufacturer, not manufacturer. Christ, you can't even pronounce a word properly. But this came from PSA with, oh, look, right here, a friggin' serial number. You know, 4473, the form we all love to fill out. I think that's what it is, 4473. I don't know, I just fill it out. Serial number has to be transferred from an FFL to a private citizen. So how the hell does that become a ghost gun? Because I self-manufactured. I didn't manufacture anything, I built it. This one, I manufactured. I milled it. So they love to play these semantic games. Same as Homeland Security. Every scumbag gun grabber wants to label this an assault weapon. This is a semi-automatic AR-15. Semi-automatic. That means you pull the trigger, one round goes down the barrel. It has a disconnector. Hopefully you can hear this. Trigger reset. Pull the trigger, one round goes down the barrel. It does not keep firing like a fully automatic firearm does. But they will label this an assault weapon. Yet the Department of Homeland Security puts out a bid for 7,000 personal defense weapons capable of semi-automatic and, wait for it, fully automatic firing. So if the government has it, if a government agent has it, it's a personal defense weapon. But if a government agent has a firearm like this that's capable of both semi-automatic and fully automatic fire modes, it's a personal defense weapon. Yet my AR-15, which is semi-automatic, gets labeled an assault rifle. Saveth from the evil black guns. Well, mine must not be evil because it's Ergo Dark Earth. That's the Durco color, Ergo Dark Earth, right? So I guess mine's not evil. Okay, so we paint our guns all kinds of pretty colors, they're not evil anymore. Wow. This video is going to be much longer than I intended it to be, and I apologize, but I do tend to get really fired up over this stuff.
30 bullets within half a second.
Oh, okay. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go full screen, and I'm going to move it right up to the camera, and hopefully you can hear what this guy says. This is the 30 caliber clip guy in half a second. If you're wondering who Kevin DeLeon or whatever the hell his name is, if you're wondering who he was, this is the 30 caliber clip in half a second guy that's been bouncing around Tea Party emails and the internet, just making himself look like a uneducated, ineffectual ass. Kind of like Sheila Jackson Lee. We've lived under this Constitution for 400 years. Really? To my knowledge, the U.S. Constitution was adopted in, what, September of 1787? This is only off by 160 some or 170 some years. I'm just doing quick math at 11 o'clock, almost 11 o'clock at night. Just a minute. Let me back this up.
Purchase of this lower receiver online through the internet.
And I'm going to edit out a bunch of this until I get to where I want.
You create this illegal weapon. This is a ghost gun.
A ghost gun.
This right here has ability with a 30 caliber clip to disperse with 30 bullets within half a second.
And then it's a 30 magazine clip. Not manufactured by a legitimate manufacturer in the United States or another country. And I will post this guy who posted this video. Wow, there's a pretty neat juxtaposition going on here. I'm making a YouTube video while watching a YouTube video. That's pretty pathetic when you think about it. So this guy posts a link to atf.gov/files/industry/0501-10-QAS.pdf, and that's on the BATF website. And I believe I looked at it. Question number 9 is it legal for me to manufacture my own firearm? And they say yes, as long as you don't use 10 or more parts imported into the country and a whole bunch of stipulations on it. But the answer is yes. Now let's clear up a misconception. if you are looking for the law, if you're out there searching, and I have to admit that following this link and doing the research with the United States laws and codes and everything that are listed in this PDF, in the answer, in this PDF on the BATF website, Googling each of those United States codes and the section and everything and looking at comments and stuff, I have to say it was very enlightening, because if you have been out there trying to answer questions about doing an 80% build on your own or a 0% build or making your own gun, and looking for the laws that tell you it's okay to make your own gun, you're not going to find it. Because laws don't tell you what you can do, they tell you what you can't do. And that was in a post on one of the forums, I believe it was Cornell University, came up in a Google search when I was looking at one of the codes. And it was like the Cornell University Law Library or something like that, and comments and all kinds of stuff. So if you're looking for something that tells you specifically that it is okay to do an 80% receiver, as far as the federal government's concerned in BATF, you have to read all these codes. And all these codes and all these sections and subsections and get ready for a headache. Take a 6-pack of beer just to dig your way through the legalese and read one sentence 5 times till it makes sense to you. Because I'm no lawyer. I'm a geek. But you dig through that and you look through all these codes that list the things that are illegal to do. And if you want to do isn't listed in any of those, you're good to go. Of course, there are state laws you have to consider as well. That's one thing I didn't put in my 80% builds, was to consult your local legislators or ask them if it's legal to manufacture an 80% receiver in your specific state jurisdiction. So as far as BATF is concerned and the state of Pennsylvania is concerned, it's legal. But in California, if this SB 808 passes, which it probably will, because California's the left coast, it will not be legal to assemble or build your own AR-15. By the way, this guy's talking, even if you buy a stripped lower receiver with a serial number and do the paperwork, it still won't be legal. And I'm sure there could probably be some interstate commerce lawsuits over that, but hey, that's for the people in California to sort out. And he's holding up his ghost gun. He says, to my understanding, it was used in a crime. He doesn't say how it came to be in the hands of the person who committed the crime. So, my question is, was the gun stolen or was it purchased illegally? That's my question. And now, I gotta stop and I gotta show you this. Tell me this is, tell me this is not a gorgeous, gorgeous heavy-barreled AR. I mean, I personally don't like target rifles. Rifles have to be functional rather than going out and punching holes in paper. But I can appreciate the crafts. Wow, I got a really big forehead because I'm going bald. I can appreciate the craftsmanship and the engineering that goes into a rifle like this.
Which is an automatic sniper weapon.
An automatic sniper weapon.
Used by our troops in the military in Afghanistan. Again, this is a weapon, is a ghost gun. No serial number. You cannot trace it. It's undetectable. You don't know who purchased it.
Okay, so he says, this is a sniper weapon. an automatic sniper weapon used by our troops in Afghanistan. And it's a ghost gun because it has no serial number. So, wow. Where do you begin to pick that one apart? There are so many, to me, there are so many blatant lies. And a lie of omission is still a lie, according to Captain Picard. I have never seen, having handled a number of military-issued firearms when I was in the military, when I was in the Navy, I have never seen one without a serial number. Our snipers do not use AR platforms, and I'm looking specifically at the magazine well of that beautiful target AR he's holding up. I think I'll build one like that after I get done with my next build. And it's definitely a 5.56. It does not have a military grip on it. It definitely does not have a military stock. I mean, it's the full-blown Magpul adjustable $329 stock. That free float forend that's on there with the bipod mounted to it, and I love the way he just flips the bipod out to make it look more dramatic. It's definitely a 5.56 with a heavy barrel. The optics on it are nothing special. Not like our armed forces use. They do appear to have sniper turrets. No, actually they are not sniper turrets. He just moved and I got a better shot at him. They're not sniper turrets. They have to be unscrewed and then turned with a screwdriver. Give me a minute and I'll be right back. Alright, so I was talking about the optics on that heavy barrel target AR. This is an automatic sniper weapon. No sniper fires an automatic weapon. Semi-automatic at the most, and the majority of our snipers are still using bolt actions because they're that much more accurate. And if you want to talk about setting a gun up for long-range shooting, which is exactly what a sniper does, that's some long-range glass right there. And you see those big-ass turrets on there? Those are sniper turrets, or what are referred to as sniper turrets. You simply unlock them, couple clicks here, couple clicks there. They're made for Justin on the fly. Yes, this does have a bipod. This is my Springfield Armory M1A. And I built this up specifically for shooting long distance, 600 plus yards. I'm getting 4.5-inch groups at 1,000 with this monster. I love this gun, but that's some serious glass. And he's trying to make this heavy-barreled AR seem like it's this weapon of mass destruction that you could sit 700-800 yards away and just spray automatic fire into a crowd and kill one person with each bullet of your 30 caliber clip in half a second. So 30, from this gun, that heavy barreled AR he held up, which I can almost guarantee you is semi-auto. He's trying to make it sound like it would spray 30 rounds in half a second and kill one person with each round at some ungodly range because it has a scope and a heavy barrel and a bipod on it. Are you kidding me? Really? The best I've ever... Well, we're not going there.
Number by Department of Justice in the event it's utilized in a crime. The high-powered assault weapon, sniper version.
High-powered assault weapon, sniper version. So now there are different versions of assault weapons.
Military. This weapon is illegal. It's a ghost gun. It's been used in crimes. It cannot be detected to the manufacturer.
And he's still holding up that heavy-barreled AR saying, it's illegal, it's a ghost weapon, it's been used in crimes. So now, let me get this straight. You have 3 different variants of an AR-15 on stands with you at a press conference. And to your knowledge, this one has been used in crimes, but then yet the third one you pick up, which is a heavy barrel, well, that's definitively been used in crimes. So why don't you check your facts before you start your press conference? You've got pages that, I mean, if you, and like I said, I will post a link to the video. Go and wasted 21 minutes and 23 seconds of your life to watch this video and pick it apart as this guy's blathering on and on and on and on and on and on. Because he's got pages and pages of notes in front of him. And you can see him turning the pages as he's giving his little press conference. So, to my knowledge, this one was used in crime, but this one was definitively used in a crime. Really, dude? Come on. Check your facts. I mean, I spent 25 minutes on the MakerBot site to get those facts about the printing deck dimensions and the printing capabilities and the prices of 2 MakerBot versions. And they have like 5 or 6 total that go from the Mini up to the Replicator Z18. And by the way, we're only 8 minutes and 7 seconds into this guy's 20-minute press conference. He's back to the podium and he's turning more notes.
And underscore again with jig. A simple piece of metal that can be purchased lawfully.
A simple piece of metal and a jig. Oh, one thing about the jig he's holding up. Again, here's the whole check your facts thing. And you know what? This thing's heavy, so I'm going to set this down. Oh. The jig he's holding up has 4 screw holes in it, just like my jig. 2 of those screw holes go through the pivot pin and the takedown pin holes. So if those holes aren't there, that jig's not going to work. And, oh, I'm glad I didn't drop that. And he's trying to say that you can take this lower receiver blank, where this is still solid metal, and this is still solid metal, and put it in this jig. Really? How are you going to firmly affix a solid chunk of metal? I mean, this thing is a blank. Even the tracks for the trigger guard aren't milled out in this thing. But you can do it with the drill press. And how are you going to put this thing into this jig? I mean, just to get this, a receiver blank to an 80% receiver, you have to drill this hole and drill out the hole for the buffer tube and thread it. So some scumbag is going to go through all that trouble.
Go through a drill press, you create the necessary conditions.
Now it's go to a drill press and create the necessary conditions.
Purchase the barrel protector.
And now he has a completely built lower
Stock.
and a completely built upper And he's going to put them together and make a ghost gun.
Necessary for the trigger release.
The trigger and the trigger release. I like that one.
Drives semi-automatic.
He's holding up a finished lower, and he's saying, and make this pocket for the trigger and the trigger release. That's funny. In an AR, the actual sear surfaces are actually part of the trigger.
With that, I'd like to bring up a good friend.
And now at
One thing, a couple things.
wait, one more thing, a couple more things actually.
These guns already exist because they're in the hands of criminal felons, gang members, drug cartels, as well as the mentally ill.
Oh, these guns, now this is a statement he just made. These guns already exist because they are in the hands of criminal felons, gang members, drug cartels, and the mentally ill. So he's already labeled me as a criminal felon, a gang member, a member of a drug cartel, or someone who's mentally ill. So this is, you know, I hate to say this because it's going to sound like I should be wearing a tinfoil hat. Hitler, with a series of cartoons back in 1930s Germany, dehumanized the Jew. And he inflamed the rest of the German population's fears and hatreds against the Jewish people living in Germany. We all know how that turned out. So these guns are already in the hands of criminal felons and gang members and drug cartels and the mentally insane. What is he doing? What is that statement? That statement is an attempt to dehumanize you and me. And if you're living in California and you voted for this guy, get the fuck out of my country. This guy has no respect for you or anyone else. He has no respect for your rights. He has no respect for your freedoms or anyone else's for that matter. Sorry about that, but that's the only way to say that. And if you're living in California and you didn't vote for this guy, I truly feel bad for you.
This last year, June 2013, John Zawahiri killed 5 people in Santa Monica. Those individuals were Franco, her father.
Now he's saying that a guy by the name of John Zawahiri killed 5 people in Santa Monica. So Google that, look it up. I didn't. I'm just running on what he says here. Someone Franco and her father, somebody else Franco, and
Carlos Franco, as well as Margarita Gomez. He also killed his father and his brother.
Margarita Gomez, his father and his brother he killed with a ghost gun.
By the Department of Justice, doing its work because of mental health issues. Zawahiri was able to purchase a lower receiver online, which used modified craft.
So he's saying Zawahiri was able to purchase a lower receiver online. He does not say he purchased an 80% or a 0% or a 50%. He says he was able to purchase a lower receiver, and then he holds up the finished lower receiver. So that makes me question, did this John Zawahiri illegally or falsify records or falsify permits or something to that effect to purchase a lower receiver? Because let's face it, language is at the core of communications. If you cannot speak properly, you cannot communicate properly, and you will be misunderstood time and time again. So, did he buy an 80% and mill it himself? What kind of mental illness did he suffer from? What was his employment background? I only ask this because maybe the guy was a machinist who had schizophrenia. I don't know if any of you out there have ever dealt with somebody, had to deal with somebody with schizophrenia. I've met one true, honest to God, schizophrenic in my life, and that dude scared the hell out of me. But that notwithstanding, what was this guy's background? It's easy to just throw out a name and say he killed 5 people and he was mentally insane or deranged or whatever, and he did it with this and yada yada yada. Yes, fine. Those are the blatant facts. But how did he get the receiver? Did somebody else buy it for him? Was it a straw purchase? Like Dylan Klebold and what's-his-face from Columbine. They traced a shotgun through another girl. Most of the guns they use, they traced through someone else. So it's a straw purchase. They're under 18 anyway, but that's a whole other discussion. And again, he was able to skirt the law by buying the parts online to assemble his own assault weapon. My assault weapon, but Department of Homeland Security's personal defense weapon. Now he's talking about on the right. Okay. Remember he started off by saying, you know, this is banned 3D printed guns and self-assembled 3D printed guns, the threat is real. He just spent, we're now at 10 minutes and 49 seconds. He just spent the last 9 minutes blathering on about AR-15s. So he just spent the last 9 minutes or so blathering on about AR-15s. And now he's like, and there's a poster board of a 3D printed ghost gun that's undetectable on the right. And as soon as I get this edited and uploaded, I'm gonna text my buddy Brian from work and tell him, hey dude, I just did a political tirade on the gun shop. And he'll watch it because he's like my political analyst. Hi, Brian. I mean, he's flapping about being able to get it in any airport, in any plane. Now he's thanking the Sacramento Police Department Deputy Chief, a detective from another sheriff's department, and now he's bringing in the guy from the Brady campaign, so my little tirade is at an end. And this guy goes on to talk about how he and his wife lost their daughter 13 years and 3 days ago to gun violence. I stopped watching it after that because it's truly a tragedy and there's really nothing you can do about it. Evil, like I said before, evil people are going to do evil things. That is a hard, cold, fast reality of the world we live in. So, I will try in the future, I will try and keep the political tirades to a minimum. Unless, of course, this video gets more views than anything else I've done, then I'll probably start doing more. In addition to other stuff, because tomorrow we're taking this boy out to the range. And this is going to go bang for the first time in its existence. My ghost gun. I should get a little sticker, a little Casper the Ghost sticker, and put it on there in honor of Kevin DeLeon, whatever his name is. Send him a picture of it. But like I said, like I was saying, I will try and keep the political tirades to a minimum. I have been avoiding them, and with 20 plus videos up there, and this is the first one, I think I'm doing a fairly decent job. You know, so one every other month, give or take, that's not too bad. It's not like I'm Alex Jones, although I don't agree with him. Sometimes he gets a little out there. But as always, thanks for watching the Basement Gun Shop. If you like the channel, like it, subscribe, even better. By all means, I will always encourage you, leave your comments below. I will respond to them. As soon as I get a notification that I have a comment or new activity on a video, the first thing I do when I get home, turn on the laptop and go to it. I try not to answer it from my mobile phone or mobile devices, simply because I'm usually at work or at the range or in the middle of a class, and I can't do that then. So understand, as soon as I get home, I do respond. So again, thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe and keep shooting.